So, Om Shanti and good morning, and very sweet versions of Baba today. And I think Baba really encouraging us to do service. And sometimes I have the thought that, when we remember Baba, we accumulate the power of pure thought. But when we do service, we accumulate the power of pure action. And these, both accounts, are really required. But Baba was encouraging us, wasn't he, to go to temples, go to cremation grounds, probably more relevant in India, of course, but fundamentally his message is do service and it creates your fortune. But the main thing that holds us back is dependence, is attachment. And Baba so graphically described, didn't he, that when we have this dependence, it's like we're stuck in a spider web. And we feel, in my head, I feel I'm trapped, but actually I've trapped myself. My own dependence has trapped me. And, this is what I feel at the moment is one of the most important virtues for all of us is detachment. And when I look at Baba's task, the task has gone through many phases. The first phase was in Karachi, and they did no service at that time. It's actually quite incredible. For 14 years, there was just Gyan and Yoga. And I believe that's why the daddies have such a unique vibration, because they really became soul conscious. And that vibration is so unique. And then the second phase was really service in India, and they needed a lot of courage to do that. And because there was a lot of opposition. The third phase, I think, was really serving in foreign countries. And even for that, I think the specialty required was a broad intellect, an intellect that can really connect with all types of people from all types of backgrounds. And then the fourth phase, in my experience, was this massive growth in the yagya. When I first went to Mount Abu, it was just Pandav Bhavan, no Sukdam, no Om Shanti Bhavan. The biggest hall was the meditation hall. The yagya had one car. It was so simple. And yet there was this huge growth. And I think for me, the special understanding I needed at that time was number-wise, the understanding that we are all different. We're all at a different level. It's not a judgment. It's just the reality of life that we are different. And I believe probably the piece of truth from Baba that really helps me accept and understand everyone else. But now we're in the final phase of the confluence age. I think we can all feel it. So what do I need now? And almost every day, Baba reminds us that this world, is just going to collapse. And we're observing the world, all the systems are just collapsing around us. What do I need to manage life at this time? I feel it's detachment. And really it's attachment that blocks me really from creating my fortune in service. And it's a creation of my own that I feel I'm stuck in the spider's web, but actually I can remove myself from that spider's web. And sometimes I think, what are the signs that a soul has absorbed truth into the core of their being? How can I know a soul really is not just knowing God's truth, but living it? I would say first, they're stable. Because the foundation is self-awareness and Baba. That's the foundation I'm sitting on. So no matter how much the world changes around me, I remain stable. Second is contentment. That, my heart is full. I've attained from Baba. I'm satisfied. I don't need anything except Baba. Thirdly, I'd say self-respect. To me, when I absorb God's truth, it heals the relationship with the self. And I develop my self-respect. I take it back again. But fourthly, I would say detachment is such a sign that I've absorbed God's truth into my life and I'm living God's truth. And Baba's detachment, because in Baba's detachment, it comes with love. And really, once Baba said, detachment increases my capacity to love. Because when I'm detached, I can love people when they're good, when they're sweet, when they're cooperative. But I can also love people when they're not so good, they're not so sweet, and they don't cooperate. Because I'm uninfluenced, I can maintain a constant attitude. And this, I think, will become essential for all of us at this time. What is detachment? And you know, for me, detachment is natural. It's my original and natural state. Many of us feel in becoming detached, it's unnatural because the spider web has been a part of our existence for such a long time. And in the golden age, I live in families. I'm completely a family path, a part of the family path, and yet I'm completely and naturally detached. It's so wonderful. It's my natural state to be unencumbered, uninfluenced, unburdened, and detached. And detachment is the state of total freedom. I think one of the most innate desires in the human spirit is to be free. And I can only be free when I let go dependence. But ultimately, for me, detachment is the sign of spiritual fullness. Why? Because I find that when I lose myself in Shiv Baba's my prime relationship in life, then I'm so absorbed in Baba, I'm naturally pulled beyond other influences. And I found, like, I've seen Daddy Prakashmani was probably the most incredible people person I've ever met in my life. She was just the embodiment of love and respect. And yet she was deeply detached. And really, I think it's such a sign when I really have this deep relationship with Baba. Baba pulls me beyond so much, and I remain uninfluenced and detached. And yet, to be detached is, I think, or detachment is one of the most misunderstood virtues, if I can use that word as a virtue. Because sometimes we interpret it like a sannyasi style of detachment, that in the name of detachment, I become irresponsible. I don't really fulfill my responsibilities. What do the sannyasis do? They remove the responsibility to their family, even their children and their partner. So sometimes I interpret it and I become irresponsible. Sometimes there's a form of detachment. It's like the don't care. I don't care. You do whatever you want. Actually, I care a lot. But because it's not my way, then I start to say, oh, I'm detached. But this is not real detachment. Or there's even the escapist style of detachment. Because a lot of people can't cope in this world, just can't cope with life. We sort of withdraw into our own world and say, I'm detached. But Baba's detachment, you know, I would say for many Brahmins, they don't even like the word detachment because, you know, it's so misinterpreted sometimes. And some under the name of detachment seem uncaring, you know, aloof, disconnected. That's not Baba's detachment. Baba's detachment is to be very loving, very caring, very close, a really good communicator. So I'm absolutely connected in this world with others, but uninfluenced by. To me, purity is all about influence, or I could say impurity is all about influence. The more impure the human soul, the more things affect me. The more I remember Baba, I'm pulled beyond this being affected. I'm pulled beyond influence. And so I really feel, seeing our world at the moment, Baba wants us to serve. It's so important to become very, very detached, but very, very loving. Who's the most detached of all? Shiv Baba. But who's the most loving of all? Shiv Baba. And really, when we understand that actually true detachment actually increases my capacity and ability to be loving. It's one of the pinnacles of spirituality, to be absolutely loving and yet absolutely detached. And really, when you look at the golden age, because I'm full, I don't need anything. I'm completely detached. Even when someone leaves the body, we love them, we respect them. I just get on with my life. Maybe they will come up in conversations and they'll just be love and pure feelings, but no sense of loss at all. Attachment, in a sense, is when I identify and take support from anything temporary. Detachment is when I identify and take support from anything temporary. My temporary body, my temporary relationships, etc. And when I have attachment, it gives birth to two very, very powerful children, fear and insecurity. The more I'm attached, the more fear I have of loss, and the more insecure I become about the future. What is detachment? Detachment, I would say, is to identify and take support of that which always exists. And in a sense, we are moving from attached love to detached love. And when I become truly detached, my foundation is only on that which always exists. If I attach my heart to anything temporary, I build suffering into my life. I'm doing it. When I feel insecure, fearful, etc., it's my attachment that is the mother or the parent of those feelings. And so this is why, to become detached at this time is really such a state of wisdom. To base my life on that I'm an eternal soul, you're an eternal soul, Baba is my eternal parent. And when my foundation is based on that which always exists, then I can become really strong once again. And in a sense, I think this is the extraordinary education that Baba is giving us now. Children, just refocus your life from basing your heart on that which is temporary to basing your heart on that which is permanent. And then you become naturally detached. And I love the idea that detachment shouldn't be forced. You know how sometimes things happen and we think, I mustn't be affected, I mustn't be disturbed. But I am affected and I am disturbed by things. But actually, when I'm really close to Baba, I'm naturally uninfluenced. And Baba, is often telling us, children, become detached from your body. That is the secret to let go the account of sorrow. Children, become detached from your role. And when I do that, I overcome competition and jealousy. Children, become detached from others. This is really, the Maha Mantra of God, the one who retains all truth, is forget the body and the relations of the body. And once Baba said, when we're attached, we have this game of sort of like and dislike. You know, we get caught in that human game of I like these ones and I don't like these ones. And you know what Baba said? Something really interesting. He said that dislike is a royal form of selfishness. If I dislike someone, it's a royal form of selfishness. Why? Because they don't behave in the way I like. Everyone has to behave according to my rules and my system. And if you don't, I dislike you. Baba said this is a royal form of selfishness. It's incredibly deep, really. Baba, to heal us of all the pain of relationships, we have a relationship with Baba, and then we become detached from all human souls, but extremely loving and extremely close. And this is our life now. And really, I think to manage into the future, this natural, loving detachment, detached involvement is so important. And for me, you know, how much dependence do we have? As I was saying, Baba says, I'm detached from the body, detached from my role, detached from others, detached from my story. That's a really deep one. You know, we all carry a story in my memory track. What people have said, what people have done, how people have treated me. I would say this is our main attachment. You know, I'm with Baba in the present, but I still carry the hurt and pain of the past. Even that, I have to let go. I have a new life now. But sometimes we so identify, this happened to me, they've done this to me. And because I can't let it go, really, it holds me back. I remain stuck in the spider web. I even have to become detached from my story. And I would say even detached from the outcomes and results, because I think the nature of human beings, because we're empty, we got all our sense of fulfillment from doing an action, getting praise, getting respect, getting love, getting support. And so we often have a huge expectation at the end of my action that it should be like this. The result should be according to my liking. And when it's not, massive disappointment and hurt and upset. I love the way Baba repositions this. It says, first I take from Baba, and when I come into action, I make effort, but whatever the result, I remain detached. I accept. This is something so incredibly important for Brahmins, because sometimes we transfer our old behavior of doing an action to get a feeling, get a result, get respect, get praise. I bring it into the surface field. And when I do that, then I develop resentment to people who don't really appreciate me or don't really respect me or whatever it may be. But, you know, I think some of the real dependencies are the beliefs I hold about myself. Sometimes we have this ingrained belief that I'm not lovable, that people don't really love me or value me. And I'm so deeply attached to this perception of myself that even when people offer me love, I can't experience it. And probably the most powerful belief that I'm deeply attached to, I have a deep dependence on, is that I'm not good enough. Whatever I do is never good enough. So I'm attached to this perception of self. This is the deep work of this life, is to break down these sort of beliefs about myself, because they're false. And Baba's giving me a new set of beliefs about myself. And another dependency or attachment I find is being attached to being a victim. Many times I feel a victim of situations, even in the Brahmin family. And I'm convinced in my head that it's unfair and I'm a victim of decisions and everything. Anyone who feels a victim hasn't understood the law of karma. According to the law of karma, we create our own destiny. We are creating our own life. And if I'm really feeling I'm just a victim of this and a victim of that and a victim of situations and people's decisions, I haven't really understood that actually wherever I'm sitting now is my creation. In the whole scheme of things, no one is a victim. And it's like freeing myself from all these subtle dependencies which we create, the subtle dependency to want praise and respect when I do something for Baba or I do some action. And I love the idea we came naked with nothing at the beginning of the cycle, not a body, not a relationship, not a role, nothing, not anything. And at the end of the cycle, I get stuck in the spider's web that Baba's talked about. Gyan frees me. How free have I become? And have I really become so free that I can really live my dream that I want to do? What did Baba say today? You know, whatever you want to do it now. And I love that. And I really feel if we keep procrastinating, and there sometimes in my head, the reasons and excuses that look very real. But actually, when I take power from Baba, I can put it into action now. And that was such an powerful message for me today. Whatever dream I have in my heart that I want to do in my self-transformation, if I want to do for Baba, do it now. Really put it into practice now. And I think it'll increase my self-respect because we have a deep karmic account with time. And I feel at the end, this will be the biggest thing for Brahmins, that I knew Baba, but how did I use my time? Did I really use it for self-transformation and serving the world? Or did I get caught up in all the petty stuff, the petty situations? Or did I really live my dream, you know, to help in God's task to change this world?